Okay, Doc. Thanks, thanks to both of you for all the great information. I have a question about HGH therapy and eyesight. I've heard that HGH therapy can improve eyesight, specifically the need for reading glasses. I've heard this. This is one of the reasons it was popular. It was popular with Major League Baseball player to help them see the pitch as it approaches the plate. Do you have an opinion on or information on whether HGH can actually improve insight? Once again, thanks so much for the information of the great video.
This is an easy one. It's going to be a short one. I apologize, but it all depends upon the curvature of the lens, and if you're farsighted or nearsighted, to put it in very easy to understand terms. I hope. What can happen with the use of growth hormone, or even some anabolic steroids? Meaning, well, I didn't mean to put it that way. Any steroid. Remember, they're all, whether it's estrogen, testosterone, they're all steroids because they're made from cholesterol. But you can change the thickness of the lens. You can change even the amount of fluid you have inside the eye so that you can affect your vision. This is something that
I never heard of that.
a lot of people, you never notice any change in your vision. No, a lot of people do mention it. I shouldn't say a lot. Some people do, but never put two and two together. But yeah, think about it. And particularly with growth hormone, I could see why that would be more noticeable. You're dealing more with other soft tissues of the body other than muscle, like you would with testosterone. So you could definitely make a change. Now, it might go the wrong way, though. Again, because you don't know what it's going to do. So if you're, I think it's, and this, it can probably be researched pretty easily to make sure that what I'm going to give you is correct. But I think typically, if you are nearsighted, it can help you. It can help you with farsighted vision. I got to double check that, and it has to do again with convex versus concave, and it might be even more technical than that. But again, it can affect your lens, and you just want to make sure. I would actually talk with the ophthalmologist about which way he thinks your eye is going to go. That comes up with like LASIX and deciding whether or not you're going to use Univision sometimes, or how far you're going to correct, because with age certain things happen. So that's the, if you will, the reverse of using growth hormone. With age, we expect the lens to go this way as you dehydrate, etc. So we're going to correct only this far and expect your vision to get even better over the next 5 to 10 years as you age naturally. So again, definitely something there with that question. I just don't know the exact specifics, but I'd ask the ophthalmologist. Yeah.
So, okay, it is a factor. Very good, very good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Doc. I love when I read question to the doc and he gets excited about the question. Okay, so here we go. Hey, just wondering if you could ask questions for me for Ask the Doc, as I think many people want to know if you could answer it yourself. I'm wondering if we can use peptides that release GH, such as a GHRP6, XRLN, etc., or even MK677, even though it's not a peptide, to increase our height. Oh, to increase our height. Okay. We know that GH is the biggest factor that causes us to grow. So what I'm wondering is, say a teen that is 17 or 18 years old, in his growth and his growth plates haven't closed yet, could he use peptide that release GH to increase his height? And which peptide would be the best? Or how would I stack them to achieve a height increase that would be similar to injecting synthetic HGH?
Another easy, quick answer. Absolutely. Matter of fact, Sermorelin, which he didn't mention, was, I think, the first drug ever made for dwarfism. It used to be named Jaref. And Dr. Richard Walker was largely responsible for its development. The problem was different forms of dwarfism are just that, and they can either be helped with a growth hormone releasing hormone, or there's no receptor for that if you will, and you have to go straight to growth hormone, which is what we ended up doing because that one helped people across the board, whereas the growth hormone releasing hormone only affected so many people. Depending on the type. Right. So they went to cadavers and eventually to recombinant. But this is a great question. Yeah, I got excited about this one because it's thoughtful. It's very smart. Yeah. Again, Sermorelin was around for a long time to do just that. And now they have peptides. GHRP6 would not be my first choice, only because GHRP6 tends to make... Well, first of all, it works through a different mechanism. So you've got, and I think we talked about this before.
Yeah,
right?
we have. Not for height, though.
Right. Well, but for growth hormone release, sure. And if he's only 17, 18 years old, by the way, not to be a smart aleck, but the limiting factor is your genes, okay? But, again, just like the window we were talking about earlier, you can jigger that window, or within that window, your height. So, if he's short of stature, unnaturally so, and again, of course, I have to say, I'd recommend doing this through a physician, but maybe cost is a factor, and yeah, it is. I mean, growth hormone is ridiculously priced. I think in the pharmacy well, you're talking about probably close to $3,500 or more per month for somebody that age. Because remember, you need a lot more when you're younger. You're talking about 7 to 9 IUs probably at a minimum for someone his age to get the results he's looking for. This might be a great avenue cost-wise. But again, I would recommend going through a physician. But he might have to do some explaining per our discussion earlier. Anyway, the GHRPs work through Garolin, which is through the stomach, and they can make you feel hungry about a half an hour after you take them or inject them. Yeah. So you definitely want to take them right before you go to bed, and I mean, you want to be zonked, not sitting there going, well, I'll watch a half hour of the late show before
But GHRP2 does not make you hungry.
Well, it doesn't as much as 6.
Okay.
I would say that 6 is definitely more strong than 2, but 2 will still get your attention. So you don't want to be making it look like a bomb went off in the kitchen, at midnight. So try and sleep through that is the point. Do it right before you go to bed.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, those two mechanisms of action. I've seen IGF-1 go up to about, I had a gal in here at 324 last week using the combination of GHRP2 at 200 mics in the evening with just a half milligram of Sermorelin. And then a little bit of L-theanine, just for the reason that L-theanine is an amino acid that tends to make you switch to alpha brainwaves, so that you more of a meditative state. So you're not sitting there going, "Oh my God, I hope this stuff kicks in before or I fall asleep before the hunger stuff kicks in." It helps you, go to sleep a little bit better.
Yeah.
But that's pretty phenomenal. I mean, most 17, 18-year-olds, healthy, quote unquote normal, are going to be producing about 3 to 350. IGF-1, and IGF-1 is a surrogate. We use it as a surrogate marker for growth hormone, because growth hormone only lasts for about a half an hour, and then it converts to IGF-1, and that stays around a lot longer, so we can measure it. That's why I'm using that. But a lot of what we attribute to growth hormone is really attributable to IGF-1 anyway. So we might as well be talking about IGF-1. But yeah, this is a great idea. Again, dosing, I just gave you kind of an idea of what I would use for someone who's older. You're going to have to probably experiment a little bit with someone who's younger, although you might argue you might even need even less, because as long as his physiology is working normally, he would probably be more receptive to it. We'd have to find out. I don't know. I mean, the studies on Jarrah were years ago, and we left that back, I would say in the 70s at least. Such that Jarrah isn't even around anymore.
Wow.
They have Sermorelin, which is now used for something totally different. It's used for lipodystrophy in any lipodystrophy, particularly in wasting patients. So do we answer the question? I mean,
I mean, so you're a big fan of Sermorelin, because you were telling me that unlike growth hormone, which is very quick acting in the body, Sermorelin will actually produce your own production, which means that if you're stuck going out of town or you don't have access to your growth hormone, you're still producing.
To me, it's a way smarter way of doing it, because, I liken it to, the fancy word is recrudescing the gland. So you're taking this prune and you're turning it back into a plum, so that every night when it works the way it normally does, you're not futzing with it, you're not overriding the system with something exogenously. You're getting a good amount about an hour after you go to sleep, particularly if you haven't eaten something before you go to bed, so you're not blocking the output by an insulin spike. And yeah, I mean, it'll take months typically for you to recrudesce the gland.
How many
So
months?
it'll take months. You know what? Again, naming Richard Walker again, who's largely responsible for a lot of research, most of the research I would say with Sermorelin, the protocol usually is a loading dose for 3 to 6 months, depending upon your age. Okay, for the gland to recrudesce, and then you got to expect pretty much the same thing in reverse, although it will happen quicker to turn back into a prune. But to your point, I mean, you don't want to bring this stuff on a family vacation or, to Vegas for a 4-day weekend with some girl you don't really know and just going to ask you, like, what are you doing, man? So leaving it at home, it's no big deal. And, whereas with, like you say, with growth hormone, exogenous growth hormone, people start getting dependent upon that, and you miss your shot, you miss your growth hormone. That's no bueno, right?
Which is more expensive, would you say?
That's a no-brainer. That one's easy. You're talking about, we mentioned earlier, a typical dose for something like this particularly would be at least $3,500 a month,
Wow.
in my opinion, based upon, what you see on the market.
Yeah.
You're talking about $225 a month for Sermorelin with GHRP.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a huge difference in price. So practically, now, it's still the same pain in the butt, literally, or not necessarily the butt, but, you still got to use a needle stick.
Mm-hmm.
Although he mentioned some other products like ibutamorin, which is a peptidomimetic, which is an oral. Mm-hmm. So it can survive stomach acid because it's not a peptide.
Mm-hmm.
And that's even easier. And then you could take it to Vegas with you and just, pop it right before you go to bed. Because that mimics the growth hormone releasing peptides more than the growth hormone releasing hormones. Ibutamorin, I'm saying. They call it MK677.
MK677.
Yeah.
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 Nice. Thanks, Doc.